morning, planet Earth. Good morning to my friends out there, living in the swamps, eating monkey biscuits. It is Friday, July the 24th, 2026. It's almost 9 a.m. I want you to take your right hand, but first I want you to stand up. Assuming you can stand up, if you can stand up. Take your right arm, reach out as far as you can. Take your right hand, reach out as far as you can. Reach out and grab onto that handle. Open the door. It's a door to your future. Open that future door. There's a train. There's an engineer. He's got a smile. That smile goes for miles. Now make sure you close the door behind you and get on the fucking train. The train ride is nice. The conductor pays you a visit. He asks for your frickin' ticket. You tell him to go to hell. He smiles, and then he catches fire, and he goes straight to hell. The train continues for hours. You reach the land of flowers, where the dragons dance, and the women prance, and the men eat chocolate ants, covered in LSD. Next stop is Pigeon Town. Next stop is Cosmopolis. Next stop is Gray's Harbor, where you met your hooker wife. You get off in a small town near the coast. The town is called Blue Harbor. No, it's called Blue Bay. The water there is green, the skies are orange, the people have a smile, it's crooked and ironic. You get off that train, you ask an old lady, is there a place I can stay for the night? She sends you to Mrs. McGrubelson's bed and breakfast for wayward souls who are old and fat and nearing death. You knock on her door. You reach out with your right hand as far as you can. You stretch your arm, your right arm, as far as you can, and then you grab her titty. She screams, Mrs. McGruvelson. She screams quite loudly. The local constable, he says, what the heck is going on? She screams, rapist. He blows your head off. Happy Friday. These are your ZeroHedge.com headlines as of 8:55 a.m. July the 24th, 2026, Pacific Standard Time, you fuck. Trump is losing patience in revenge mode. Oh my God, that's like a beast mode on, Far Cry, right? You ever play Far Cry? Steal the sample, buddy, steal the sample. He's in beast mode. No, he's in revenge mode after the 13th consecutive night of U.S. strikes on Iran. AI doesn't have a capital problem. Okay, my models are extremely negative, says Goldman's One Delta desk. Reflexivity remains key. I want to play that song, The Reflex. I'm not racist, Muslims, snooty leftist interviewer. I support normal people. Of course you do, Elon. I mean, that Cybertruck is so frickin' normal. The real yield curve is sending a message wars should heed. You're too late to the party. Gas prices nearing levels that could push Trump towards Iran talks. Oh boy. Guys, I'm going to pause here. You get that they're playing with pennies, right? I mean, this is why Trump outlawed pennies, because it goes right to the truth. And when I say Trump, I mean the abstraction, the smokescreen. I don't know who the hell that person is, but I do know he serves a purpose, and that is to obscure. But out of the smoke cloud comes these going backs and forth on MOUs and not an armistice yet, but ceasefires and all that, and that sounds great. And then periodically they'll delineate between the wars. Even that Professor Morandi freak will describe wars. There was never a declared war. It's an ongoing war. Probably the Iranians might want to call it separate wars, but actually that's kind of like giving credit where none is due. Anyways, they're playing with pennies, folks. The best case scenarios are playing with pennies. It's like the Superman 3 plot, okay? But Richard Pryor is Donald Trump, and they're playing with pennies. Or you can pick, the movie Office Space. Same idea. Playing with pennies. The margins are close. Powell got out of town, okay? Good on him. Just like Yellen. I mean, I'm sure he was sweating, his hands were sweating towards the end, but he got out of town. He got onto his private helicopter called Soft Landing, and he took off. But the reality is somebody's going to have to deal with the fundamental problem, best case scenario, of how you deal with the tiger and the bear. The tiger is inflation, the bear is deflation. And for much of the grift, and I mean con, of fiat currency, especially since 1972 in our own country, for much of the con, it's kind of worked. You punch the tiger in the face, okay, you start chasing the bear. You punch the bear in the face, you start chasing the tiger. But you're never going to really catch the tiger or the bear, and you got to hope they don't catch you. So there you go. Gas prices nearing levels that could push Trump towards talks, okay? If you know, you know. Trump must hand over finance records sought by BBC. That's such a trauma monkey. Historic Buffalo church torches twice in 4 days. Wow, another trauma monkey. Trump tariff wall returns. Oh my God, that's going to fix everything. U.S. new home sales rise for the first time in 3 months. Wow. The Realtors organization should be happy. What is it? National Association of Realtors? Whatever. Bond volatility is sending a warning. Now the realtors are not happy. U.S. PMI is mixed, but still signal accelerating economic growth. Don't you feel it, brothers and sisters? In your special seat? The acceleration of economic growth. Yet another wild berries facility. I can't say this. I did not know the Amazon facilities in Russia, the ones that are fake Amazon, whatever, the mock Russian Amazon, whatever, folks. It's logistics. I did not know they called their Amazon wild berries, but I'm going to say dingleberries because that's how seriously I'm taking this news at this point. More dingleberries in Russia have been kicked. They kicked him the dingleberries, and now Putin swears he's going to give the Ukrainians an Indian burn and a swirly. Okay. It's getting worse. HSBC warns commodities face squeeze as choke point chaos spreads. Oh boy, they're fighting over pennies, folks. If you understand best case scenario, this is the crack up of fiat, and either they switch to a digital currency or it's just, it's going to be economic collapse. The question is, how much will they try to fight it? And if the answer is a lot, then a lot of people are about to die. I mean, a lot of people are going to die anyways, but a lot of people will die more quickly because they're going to fight it. And they're going to fight it by kicking off wars, and they're going to fight it by stirring up shit. And best case scenario, they're going to manage what I think is the best case scenario, and that's worldwide economic collapse. There is no recession or depression when you're already in a depression. We've been in a global depression, papered over, financially obscured for at least a decade or more. Okay, that's the reality. You can live in fantasy world about Obama and the magical horses of Europe, but the reality is we have been spending money we don't have to play pretend since at least 2008. That's it. Okay, folks, there is no recession from here. What comes next is collapse. And that's if you're lucky. That's assuming that there's nothing else going on, right, shithead? Bregawatts, cheap Chinese compute. Oh, fuck you. Nano-nuclear and Fortil advanced critical Kronos fuel system for giving people cancer. A food crisis might not be averted this time, really. Futures rebound as Brent crude dips below 100 a barrel. What if the bond market is right about AI? Yeah, well, I've been telling you guys the truth about AI for many years now, so, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Inside global aerospace and defense boom, 12 takeaways from the world's most important missiles to blow people up, especially little kids. India's fuel exports set to soar. This news is so much bullshit, and this is your news, Zero Hedge. July the 24th, your morning headlines, right around 9 a.m. Go fuck yourself. So I have a link to a video posted on YouTube, but it's from a local news. I think it's in Minnesota or Wisconsin, but I'm pretty certain it's Minnesota. And they're talking about walleyes. Now I haven't really been into freshwater fishing in more than a decade. But I used to enjoy fishing, and I've never fished for walleye. But it turns out they're not doing so great. So you can do your own digging into that. It's your own beeswax. Also, I have a link to another video about fuck. So essentially, these are catfish that have been found in Quebec. The catfish have cancer, but it's not a normal cancer. They're spreading the cancer. It's like AIDS, but it's cancer. I'm not saying catfish are having sex, but I'm also saying they're not having sex. They're probably having sex, but it's not how they're spreading the cancer. Maybe it's by kissing. Maybe it's by oral sex. Maybe it's something consensual and none of our business, but the catfish have skin cancer and it's spreading. They think it's contagious. Yeah, fuck you. So you can listen to the video if you want to. I listened to both. I can't tell you 100% if they're real or if they're just another version of the, well, let's talk about this from a Sovietology perspective, since we're still trying to find undigested grapes and hundreds of thousands of tons of sewage. But this could be a cover story for something else. I know that Dane Wigington would probably say that the real truth is going on, nobody wants to talk about, and probably deals with geoengineering compounds, and it's poisoning everything. And we're in a stage of the geoengineering where it's likely just to get worse from here until it stops. And when I say it stops, at a certain point it stops working, and it simply is just chemical warfare. It's just spraying and killing people. It's barely helping to manage any type of the weather effects, but it's definitely killing the fish. And I think we're at the point now where it's definitely doing that sort of thing. And so who knows what the truth is? You guys can look into it. You can believe what you want to. I just thought it was a weird story. So yesterday, I made myself a sandwich out of eggplant and shame. I piled on to my shame cooter cheese and dog hair and dried stripper blood and old ground up peanut grease left over from last Easter party. We put this shit in the oven at 400 degrees for 12 hours until the materials were black, were like a black puck and ready for power insertion. Ask Richard Gere. It's like, that's usually what I tell people. Just ask Richard Gere, right? I invite others over for dinner when I'm making this type of meal. I usually add a ramen casserole. You smash it up, those 6 ramen packets, you mix in the beef flavor and a few eggs and spider legs. You add lime. You add the lima beans. You know what I'm saying? You add durable battery acid substitutes that you get from the vitamin people in Vietnam. If there is discarded fish at the wharf and old rotten carcasses of crab that even the seagulls and the crows ignore, you dump that into the pot. You take all the harness boog, you put it into the batch, and you watch it hatch with parasite mystery flavors. And I guarantee within 72 hours, very, very few of your guests will complain about that eggplant sandwich of shame. Very few would complain about your eggplant sandwich of shame. When I get done with a hearty meal, like the one I just had, I head to the landfill to go magnet fishing. I go with a magnet rod. I go with a Geiger counter. I go with a hooker. She's from Australia. She's named Jade. You'd be amazed by the kinds of shit we'd pull out of that swamp. Musker birds, hunting the orphans who were left at the zoo, left with a bucket of goo. They'd howl and cry as the night went by, and Jade would yell, "We're all going to hell." Sometimes we'd find old discarded radiological material from the abandoned cancer hospitals. Dark metal containers filled with radium and curium and einsteinium and other kinds of late night fun. We'd call in threats to the local rock and roll station, demanding non-stop sticks for 77 days in a row. And then we'd tell them, if you don't do it, we got a couple sticks of dynamite and some old oncology lab radiological material. Just play the sticks, buddy, and go have fun magnet fishing at the landfill. Yeah. You ever been magnet fishing, farming at the landfill? This article comes from Procurement Magazine. If you don't know about logistics and supply chain and purchasing, then I don't know what to tell you. But this comes from Procurement Magazine, procurementmag.com. Headline, or rather title, Lint, Why Lead Contaminates Chocolate and How It Happens. This is written by Aaron McMillan, and it was published in November of 2024. As Lint faces a lawsuit alleging high concentrates of lead in its dark chocolate products, we explore how lead can enter the food manufacturing process. The global demand for chocolate continues to rise, with East Asia and Oceania emerging as key markets for Choco rations, and chocolate brands launching increasingly creative products to meet consumer expectations. Among these is Lindt and Sprungly, commonly known as Lindt because nobody can pronounce the next part, Sprungly, a company renowned for its high-quality chocolate offerings, especially during festive, happy, joy Christmas-style seasons, the time of year when you'd eat your baby albino gorilla. However, Lindt has recently come under scrutiny following allegations of high levels of lead in its dark chocolate products. These concerns raise important questions about how such contamination happens and what manufacturers can do to avoid it. So I'm going to stop right here. There's more in the article about contamination during farming and drying and transportation and how everyone's to blame and nobody's to blame. And there's all kinds of bad stuff in chocolate. This could be another one of those stories like the catfish getting cancer and the walleye unable to make babies even though they're planting them. And this is the story about the walleye. They're replanting these fish in these lakes in Minnesota and in other places, and they're simply not able to hold on or reproduce. They live for a while and then they don't reproduce. This is a problem. They cannot stock these lakes in any sustainable way. And again, folks, I can't tell you what the truth is here. It could be complete bullshit. It could be a true story, but they're not telling the truth about what's causing it. And I think that's the more likely explanation. That, in fact, yes, the walleye are not doing well in Minnesota. And yes, there's a problem with the catfish in Quebec, but they're not telling you the truth as to why. And so they're telling you there's this weird skin cancer and the mystery disease, and they go a lot into, in terms of the walleye story, they go a lot into the tribes and how, culturally focused thinking is better than science. You can listen to the video and you can understand that what they're feeding you right now is the equivalent of the cows, exploding. And you can believe the cows exploding stories or maybe dig deeper. Next topic. Dan, I can't believe you. Why don't you want to believe in the dark chocolate mystery? Well, that brings us to the next one. This article comes from science.howstuffworks.com. The title of it is Black Demon Shark, Baja California's Aquatic Cryptic, and it was written by Nico Avell and published in April of 2025. In the dark waters off the Baja California peninsula, whispers of a massive, shadowy predator have given rise to the legend of the black demon shark. Known locally as El Demonio Negro, this alleged predatory shark has sparked both fear and fascination among local fishermen, ocean lovers, and shark enthusiasts. But this is just local lore. Or could there be truth in here? The black demon is said to resemble a great white shark, but much larger. Some eyewitnesses claim it's as long as a school bus and nearly black. Descriptions mention mega jaws, aggressive behavior, and even the ability to kill whales or sea lions. With that kind of bite, it's no wonder this creature has been compared to the long-extinct Megalodon, or rather known as the Super Sharknado. Most eyewitnesses reports and eyewitness accounts are some sort of drunken bullshit. The fishing boats and offshore oil rigs are filled with drunks and drug users. according to the local fishermen who are really fucking drunk and using drugs. There's terrifying descriptions, exaggerated stories, and there has to be some type of giant shark doing this damage. I paraphrase, but again, a lot of people are doing drugs and getting drunk. And this includes the tourists. Demonio Negro. Does that sound kind of racist or something? I don't know. Maybe it's not. So, I have a quote from Papa Blump, the Dorito Bonito, the Marshall Cheeto, the Orange Banana, Copacabana, okay, Frank Sinatra, of Yuso Hatra, President Trumpety Blumpety Blump. This is a quote. I am considering a massive attack. Bigger than ever before. I am close to making a decision. We're all set for it. And then the president went to the toilet. And no one was ready, not for the green smoke. Mr. President, light a match. Light a match, man. I don't really want to read anything from Axios, but I'll read some of this until I vomit. I read it yesterday, but I'm going to read it to you. It was published on July the 23rd, which is yesterday. The author is some sort of Unit 8200 or Hasbara or a Mossad agent, Barak Ravid, and the title is Exclusive: Trump close to decision on massive attack on Iran. Okay. President Trump told Axios on Thursday that he's seriously considering, wow, let's stop there. He says he's seriously considering. Let's just meditate on what that means at this point. Seriously considering restarting major combat operations in Iran, including strikes that would be bigger than the ones carried out during Operation Epic Bullshit. Yeah, I am considering massive attacks. I'm just going to read some of this. I would ask, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They haven't received enough pain yet. Okay, I'm going to stop right here on this one. They haven't received enough pain yet. This is the kind of thing a sociopath says. I made a mistake about 9 months ago of taking Trump too seriously, and because of that, I had to have a phone call from the Secret Service. But the bottom line is, folks, he is not the guy running any of this shit. His statements are meant to be some type of crooked bullshit, but if you look at them, whoever's creating them, these statements are the statements that something Ted Bundy would say, or some sort of sociopath would say. A monster says they haven't received enough pain yet. You don't end a war with these types of statements. You just make the war worse. Now, if you want to believe the Iranian people are a bunch of Nazis, you can. That would simplify your world. But you see, the options you're being given are bullshit. It's a lot like the COVID, folks. It's a lot like the vaccine. It's a lot like Butler, PA. It's a lot like Epstein. They give you a menu. Epstein was killed. Epstein committed suicide. And if you want to be a real edgelord, some people are being allowed to say maybe Epstein's not dead. But what if Epstein was just an op and Epstein was never a real person in the first place? I have no doubt that Mossad used somebody, an actor, which is historically based because the oldest skill in the black arts, the trade craft of being a spy, is acting, is pretending to be somebody you're not, is going into deep cover, becoming a mole. So if you're wondering what the options are with Epstein, it's not just murdered or suicided or even not dead. Another option is he never really fucking existed in the first place. Okay, with the Iran war, just like the Ukraine war, they're giving you these options. There's the good side, there's the bad side. There are no good sides. These are your options. But what if the whole thing is orchestrated? Just like the bombing raids in Catch-22 between the Germans and the Allies. What if it's a completely orchestrated event? I have no doubt that people are dying because, as I've said consistently for 6-7 years, Nothing bleeds like blood, and if you want to make your psyop point, corn syrup and red dye are not enough. So certainly you have to poison people, you have to convince people that grandma didn't die of the flu, she died of the COVID. And so I have no doubt that some of these missiles are killing people. But at the same time, if you want to take the war seriously, you have to explain to me why the Iranians have played the war the way they have. Because their best move would have been the 21st century version of Blitzkrieg, which means end it fast, or as we would say, shock and awe. But instead, they have allowed it to become a war of attrition. Your best move is to avoid wars of attrition. Wars of attrition are so stupid, it's not even funny. Okay? Arguably, okay, what destroyed the Carthaginians in the Second Punic War was Hannibal turning that war into a war of attrition. He should have ended it quickly. Instead, he messed around on the Italian peninsula. Not very smart. And so Scipio could have his way in North Africa, if you know, you know. Wars of attrition, historically, are dumb. They're stupid. They don't end well for either party, but if you're the party that is the one that wants to win, you need to figure out a way out. You don't necessarily want to make peace, maybe, but continuing the war of attrition, I don't know. To me, the Iranians had the option of putting this thing to an end rather quickly. And instead, for some bizarre reason, 3 months ago, they stepped back. And now they got these talking heads like Professor Morandi and Larry and Mearsheimer spouting all kinds of crazy, crooked nonsense, like the reason why they're not attacking Israel is because Israel doesn't have missiles to fight back, or the Iranians don't consider themselves at war with Israel. That's crazy. Why are you accepting any of these pieces of paper that have no meaning as some sort of peace? There's no peace. The war itself isn't really a legal war. So what's strange to me is the talking heads for Iran are promoting the same underlying paradigm that enables the grifter war. So you do with the Iran war what you want to, and you can read about the ultimate warrior. I mean, Trump is like Yul Brynner, right? Or maybe he's the humongous. Actually, when you think about it, maybe he's the Yul Brynner humongous we deserve, but he's the penultimate humongous, really. I mean, think about him. It's like Road Warrior, and he wants all the oil or something, but he's crazy. If you want to take him seriously. I really don't. I think there's something deeper going on here. I think Trump is probably the final smoke grenade, but we'll find out. Find out soon, right? But you can read more about his threats and the ultimate threat, the ultimate warrior threat. Do you look off into these draggy days of the middle caste? Do you peer deep into the mediocrity of modernity as the pistol whips and the puzzles and the migglers and the drigglers and the freaks like Elon Musk masturbate on the moon? Old man, awaiting the clock, don't balk, don't flail. Summertime, set sail, scan the seas, eat your peas. Bend your knees to the king of fleas. Old man burnt by the sun, having fun on the run. Carry that shotgun, it goes bang. That's what she sang on the stage with rage. That little shotgun, she's a sage of the trees. Old man, hurting from the fight. It's all right. The sky is turning red, but you're not dead. Remember what the old shaman said. Keep calm, keep clear, have another beer. Let your dear one, let her go. She was a hoe. And remember, bro, she gave you a disease like herpes. Old man, your wife is fucking your dad. You've had all that any man can have. Your world is full of twirling, spinning nightmares, so stop and look out. no matter the season, you'll find a reason to lock the door of your heart and throw away the keys. Old man, regret torn, forlorn whole, find your dark soul, lost on the streets, grab yourself a treat from Hooker Jane. She's insane, she'll let you grab her tang, for a slab from the jab, the herpes sleaze. Old man, go to Japan, find the store where the whore hit the floor, and her gore, red spout, all about, it was a rout, no time to pout, just shout as loud as you can. No more land, no more land, just sand, only sand, and dead trees. That's right, old man. Don't you worry a lot about Papa Blumpty Blump. Just take your right arm and stretch it out, and take your right hand and stretch it out, and reach out and touch it. Touch it. Touch my spirit penis, okay? Oh, I made you touch it. Fuck you, old man. Fuck you. I have a link to a video. It definitely has a propaganda feel to it. The title of the entry on my blog is Settler Ideology, and the link is in the notes. I am of the opinion at this point that the narrative of Zionism and AIPAC is a kind of limited hangout. It doesn't mean that there isn't some truth to it. There probably is a lot of scary truth to the level to which AIPAC and the Zionists control the United States government. And I would say our government, but I don't really think it's our government at all. I don't think it ever was. And this precedes the modern state of Israel. I think going back almost to the beginning, our government in all its forms was kind of crooked. So this idea that's a brand new thing, that we're printing money and being crooked and ripping off poor people's land and property and stuff, folks, when we had an army, that's one of the first things we started doing, so don't be stupid. Look into it yourself if you want to. I think that this is another example of a smoke grenade that could be mostly true. And as I said, when they're popping smoke, they're going to want to toss some truth at you, because that's the shit that's going to really spin you up, and you won't be able to do anything to fix it. And doesn't that sound nice? Next topic. This article is from the New York Post. It was published on July the 22nd and written by Taylor Herzlich. Yeah, Herzlich. Okay, Taylor. Headline: Taco Bell sells $1 lettuce-free enchiladas to quell diarrhea parasite backlash. I can't even see how that can be taken unironically. Taco Bell is selling a $1 lettuce-free enchiladas for those who've been riding with us as the fast food chain tries to recover from slumping store visits after it was linked to an explosive diarrhea-causing parasite. The Mexican-inspired chain, known for its tongue-in-cheek market tactics, posted a graphic on its social media account showing apparent comments from loyal customers like "Taco Bell forever" and "You my ride or die" to promote the limited time offering. Yeah, okay. The $1 offer is just to show how much we appreciate you, Taco Bell said on its website. Rewards members using the app can also get a side of regular nacho fries for just $1. Taco Bell's U.S. restaurants have been hammered since the food safety, blah, 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 linked to cyclospora outbreak, blah, 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 people bleeding out of their buttholes, blah, blah, Yum brand stock has fallen about 8%, blah, blah, blah. Taco Bell is under pressure, sure you are, blah, blah, blah. Other kinds of lettuce could be impacted, blah. Taylor Farms is Mexican, so you can blame the Mexicans on this one and their poop fields. Mexican poop fields gives you Mexican poop lettuce. Taco Bell CEO Sean Tresvant vowed, God, they really want us to take this bullshit seriously. He vowed in a LinkedIn post to be transparent about what we know and what we're doing next. Okay, let's just stop here. Except for I'll mention that if you feel like you have cramps or pain in your stomach, bloating, gas, nausea, fatigue, weight loss, or loss of appetite, or maybe even weight gain, here's the thing. It could be the simple fact that they're dumping poison from the sky every fucking day. And that's your article as edited by Dan. Oh, Dan, you're such an asshole. And fuck you, Taco Bell. We've talked about this. We talked about this just today with the catfish giving each other cancer herpes. And we talked about the walleye just not being able to have walleye babies anymore, which means for some reason they can't live in those lakes any longer. Who knows why? Could be temperature, could be poison, could be all of the above. And then we have this other story. And we've had lots of stories like this, folks. These stories that deal with either economic or ecological events, and they give us all kinds of random fucking I don't knows. And these ecological ones go back way before the COVID. I remember being in Seattle, oh my God, way back when I'd read a Seattle Times article online, and this is, I think, before they put up a paywall, where it would be like, oh, there was some weird fish kill, random dolphins, hundreds of them on the beach, many whales and other things happening, and we just don't know. And this would be a University of Washington scientist. We don't know. There are plumes of methane coming up in the Puget Sound and in Lake Washington. We don't know. We don't know. I mean, it could be anything. And again, you can just take them at their word that they're telling the fucking truth. But at this point in time, especially after seeing that video about the walleye, the whole thing, these newscasters are interviewing not scientists and people trying to solve a problem. They're interviewing polemicists and propagandists and excuse makers. Hey, have you heard about myobetes? Dan, did you just say, no, I didn't say diabetes. Myobetes is a new type of drug. It allows you to take control. Because whose diabetes is it? Anyways. Myobetes is a special drug, and it's approved for type 1 through type 14 diabetes. It's effective for people with butt bleedage. It can help with GERD and Griglin's and other types of Strickland disorders, Krebs and cakes and Blakes. You should not drink any water or eat any food ever while you're taking myobetes, which means you don't get to drink water or eat. If you're on myobetes for a year, you're not drinking water or eating food for a year while you're taking myobetes. It's a peptide stew that tricks your body and your soul into making its own special food, just like the breatharian said so. Stare at the sun. Stare straight into the sun till it burns out your retinas. You should do this just for fun. You should take myobetes, because it's not my diabetes. It's not their diabetes. You say to yourself in the mirror each day, it's myobetes. Yeah, I should sell pharmaceuticals, right? So I have a link to an article from the Dam Safety, that's damsafety.org, and it deals with dam failures. I am not going to read this article, but I'm going to ask you to meditate on what happens to a dam over time if the reservoir behind the dam fills up, empties out, fills up, empties out too much. In engineering terms, this is called flexing. And structures are designed to some extent to take flexing. I mean, I don't care if it's a skyscraper, a suspension bridge, you name it, a tunnel. You're trying to think about it, hopefully, as an engineer, you're thinking about it in the real world. And many structures are assumed to be inherently in failure mode. Well, what does that mean, Dan? Well, think about the tunnels under the Hudson River, okay? They have water pumps that run 24/7. Do you know why? Because you can't really build a water-free tunnel underneath the Hudson River. But what you can do is mostly build it so it doesn't leak water. And that's the way they basically built it. These things are designed to be a little bit in failure mode all the time. Dams, in many ways, suffer from the defect that every time they get built, it's like some industrial engineer, structural engineer, or architect imagines they're the first one to build one. And in some ways, there's just not enough science behind the design of a dam. Dams are built in a way that people assume they're going to work forever. You know, a lot of the dams that we have in this country, whether it's the BPA, Bonneville Power Administration, or the TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, right? A lot of these dams were built in the last 100 years. And the bottom line is, folks, they work better, probably, if they have consistent water levels. They probably don't work so great when it becomes inconsistent, and what gets worse is that if they're exposed to this kind of filling process where they fill up and maybe even fill up as a result of a flash flood and draining, and it's rapid, that flexing could very well either destroy the dam itself or, what's more likely, lead to it being undermined, which means quite literally areas under the dam being eaten away by pressure and time, and potentially creating essentially little boluses and sinkholes that leads to the failure of the dam. The water just goes out right underneath because it just simply wasn't sunk deep enough, strong enough, fair enough. It goes around it, it goes underneath it. But you can do your own thinking on this. I do not believe that we build dams in such a way in this country that if you have a lot of filling and water withdrawal, rapid periods over time, which is what we've seen the last decade or so, that these dams are going to hold up. But you can do your own thinking on it. You can believe in the magical dams, you know. So I have a link to an article. I'm not going to read this article. I read it yesterday, and I will just give you a summary. The article itself is from a local Alabama paper, and it barely mentions this issue. This is a real issue. Probably a real issue, probably an issue they want to keep buried, because the best article, most recent best article I could find, and if you dig deeper, you could probably find others, is from Alabama. But here's the deal. If you own a home and have a mortgage, or even if you don't have a mortgage, you likely carry insurance for the loss of your home. That's fire, damage, water damage, you name it. You carry insurance. And insurance isn't magical. It's based upon risk and also investment. Let's talk about investment very quickly. For several hundred years, prior to the 1990s mostly, but for several hundred years, the way that insurance companies made money was balancing risk against the natural value of money. Okay, they made money off of money because you'd pay them, and chances are you'd keep paying them, and maybe nothing ever happens. And statistically, they're based on the premise that maybe nothing ever happens. It will happen. You'll have fires, you'll have destruction, but the natural accrual of value in money would offset that. Well, starting a few decades ago, most central banks started manipulating money in such a way that insurance companies no longer had that sure bet. I mean, yeah, they could purchase treasury bonds and they could maybe do a little better, but even the best treasury bond rates didn't really compare to the markets. And frankly, inflation, which they're not honest about, has never really fallen behind the rates of accrual. They've always been ahead, which means that even if you have a 4% or a 5% coupon, if real inflation is 7 or 8%, you're losing money. The reality is the insurance companies have told us the truth about monetary debasement over the last few decades, but nobody's listening. And it's easy to blame insurance companies, just like it's easy to blame lawyers because they seem like crooked people too, right? So one of the ways that they make money, fundamentally, is about this idea that money itself should have some sort of stable value. The other feature is managing risk. And if you live in a world where, like I said, we're going to assume mostly bad things don't happen, then everything's okay. But what happens when you switch to a situation where a lot of bad shit starts happening? Wildfires, hailstorms, coastal floods, droughts. And when it comes to droughts, and we talk about home insurance, it's really important. In order for them to give you a good rate, you have to live somewhere that meets certain ISO that's insurance standards, but certain ISO standards. And these standards have to deal with things like water pressure, literally the water pressure at the hydrant that the fire truck would plug into. It's kind of common sense. If you want a low rate, there better be water nearby you can use to put out the fire. And if your argument is, well, Dan, we're recycling our poo and our pee, that's great, Mr. and Mrs. Las Vegas. But you need a shit ton of reliable electricity to do that. And the problem is that dam that might even fail, that doesn't really have enough water behind it, is also providing a lot of electricity for you. So you've got problems, Mr. and Mrs. Vegas, on so many levels. And it's not like a person like me hasn't been saying this for 6-7 years. But Dan, you said it, yeah. You should have left 6-7 years ago. Why the fuck you're staying in Vegas makes no sense to me. And I'm talking to all the people out in Vegas who listen to me, which is zero. Get the fuck out. Unless you believe some type of magical Elon bullshit is right around the corner. Unless now your edgelord mind says, I'm going to believe Bill Gates and the whole geothermal bullshit. Get the fuck out. Okay? Because the bottom line is your insurance, and they're telling you the truth. You may not like it, but the insurance people are telling you the fucking truth. The risk you used to face is no longer the same risk, A, and the money you used to make ain't the same money, B. And that means your rates are going to go up or even be canceled. Your policy could get canceled. And if you're carrying a mortgage, what does that mean? Well, that means you might end up losing your home. Oh, sorry. No one told you that, did they? On the Edgelord channel or on the fucking Fox News or CNN. They didn't tell you that if you get beyond the political bullshit, if the risk situation for your property is too much, they could cancel your fucking mortgage. Good luck. That's all I gotta say. And get the fuck out of it. If you're in a major city anywhere, you should leave. But if you're in a major city in the Southwest, you need to get the fuck out. There is a guy who's been showing up all over YouTube since, pretty much since February, but maybe before. The Iran wars made him famous, and his name is Professor Morandi. And Professor Morandi is this interesting guy who's a professor in Tehran, and he goes on all the cool shows. And he gave a whole bunch of reasons why this go-around they're not hitting Israel. Because it's popped up, it's inconvenient. Because even the other day they said, but Dan, I saw a headline where it said the Israelis were hit. No. The Israeli embassy was hit in Bahrain, okay? I will freely admit, just like, it depends on whose Mossad friend you are, right? But I don't know, we should research 9/11 again. But just like certain other events, the Israelis will do what they can to look out for their own. But the bottom line is, when I said the state of Israel, I meant the state of Israel. I didn't mean a fucking embassy. Embassies get hit all the time. That's not the same thing. Now, Morandi's excuse is that, Israel hasn't been attacking us this time. Technically, they said Israel, the U.S. or anyone that supports the U.S. How is Israel not supporting the U.S.? How is it not participating? How is it not part of this formula? So you can listen to Morandi. There's a There's a Daniel Davis deep dive that popped up yesterday, and listen to his bullshit. But he's speaking out of both sides of his face. It does not add up. I don't know the truth of the Iran conflict, folks. Chances are, if you're an ordinary fucking schmuck like me, you don't know either. And I don't know the truth about the Ukraine conflict. I know, oh my God, drones changed everything. They changed some things. And I can have that air defense conversation from the 1990s again, but the reality is your major talking heads out there who are telling you the truth are people that pissed on short-range air defense officers in the 1990s telling them, you got a problem. That UAV you think is so cool flying above us, other people will have those. And they thought, well, don't worry about it. The Air Force is taking care of it. The Air Force is taking care of it. That was the answer. Of course, it was stupid. So all of this is predictable bullshit, and all of this could have been avoided. And to circle back, folks, I don't know what's going on here, but the fact that since the war heated up again, because there is no peace here, there was no peace in 1953 in Korea between all the fucking ceasefire talks. They would still be making hamburger on Hamburger Hill, right? Heartbreak Ridge. The bottom line is they were still making hamburger as the North Koreans, the Chinese, and the U.S. were chewing each other up and also meeting for peace talks. And again, they never really had a peace. They had an armistice, but let's not get into specifics. Folks, the Iran conflict since at least 3 months ago doesn't add up. It is Friday, July the 24th, 2026. It is right around 9:46 a.m. here on the Olympic Peninsula. July 24, 2026, folks. I thought we'd make it 5 years, not 6, 7. And imagine we've been living the mirror years, the years of deception, which precede, maybe, according to certain perspectives, the actual, apocalypse, precede the end times. A period of years that's false, the false wars, the falseness, the lies that precede the truth of the crazy. Who knows? Some people call it the quickening. I don't know. I think if we're really, 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 really fucking lucky, we're just looking at the biggest imperial crack-up ever. Way bigger than the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, way bigger than the Mongolian disintegration of the 14th and 15th centuries, way fucking bigger than anything that's happened before. British Empire, you name it. You pick any fucking thing. Soviet Union, worse. This is going to be the worst crack-up ever because this has been the biggest empire ever. Have a great, great, wonderful, super duper Friday. But before you go, I want you to stand up. Stand up, Gumptus freak. Stand up, slave Jurgen. Stand up, chicken rooster. Stretch out your right hand. Stretch out your right hand. Stretch out your right arm. Stretch out your arm and your hand in front of you and touch my monkey.